Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Sergeant Paul Maneg. Je suis Sergeant Paul Maneg. We acknowledge we're gathered on Treaty 1 territory and that Manitoba is located on treaty territories and in ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabe, Dakota, Dene, and Netho nations. That Manitoba is located on the homeland of the Red River Métis, and northern Manitoba includes lands that were and are the ancestral lands of the Inuit. Nous reconnaissons que nous sommes rassemblés sur le territoire du traité numéro 1 et que le Manitoba est situé sur les terres visées par les traités et les terres ancestrales de diverses nations, à savoir les Anishinaabe, les Anishinaabe, les Dakota, les Dene et les Netho. Nous reconnaissons aussi que le Manitoba est situé sur la terre natale des Métis de la Rivière-Rouge et que le nord du Manitoba comprend le territoire qui était et demeure le territoire ancestral des Inuits. Thank you for being with us today as we provide information on a months-long investigation known as Project Derry. In a few moments, you'll hear from Assistant Commissioner Scott McMurtry, who is the commanding officer for the Manitoba RCMP, Superintendent Jeff Asmundson of the Manitoba RCMP Integrated Law Enforcement Team, and Manitoba Justice Minister Matt Wiebe. There will also be an opportunity for reporters after today's press conference to talk off camera with an investigator who worked on the case. Merci d'être avec nous aujourd'hui. Nous vous donnerons de l'information sur le projet Derry, une enquête en cours depuis des mois. Plusieurs personnes prendront la parole dans quelques instants, soit le commissaire adjoint Scott McMurtry, commandant divisionnaire de la GRC au Manitoba, le surintendant Jeff Asmundson, équipe intégrée d'application de la loi de la GRC au Manitoba, et le ministre de la Justice du Manitoba, Matt Wiebe. Après la conférence de presse, les journalistes auront l'occasion de parler à un enquêteur qui a travaillé sur le projet. Les entrevues devront être faites hors caméra. J'invite maintenant le commissaire adjoint McMurtry à venir nous parler. At this time, I will welcome Assistant Commissioner McMurtry to the podium.
Thanks, Paul. Good morning, everyone. Minister, thank you for joining us. I think everyone knows, and we all know, that there's an escalation in violence in many of our First Nation communities in Manitoba. And in the majority of these instances, the violence is tied to the drug trade. Drug traffickers who bring in and distribute these illicit drugs have no regard for the safety and well-being of community members. They are only about making a profit, no matter the consequence. I've heard personally from chiefs and councils, and as have our district commanders and detachment commanders, regarding the escalating gang activity and drug trafficking that is impacting our communities. Community leaders are seeking and are asking directly for the RCMP to take more action and enhance enforcement. Bunnabonabe Cree Nation, also known as Oxford House, is one of those communities, as they were being hit especially hard with arsons and intimidation tactics. In response, Project Derry was launched, and the results of that investigation have been substantial. To date, 27 persons have been charged as part of a sustained investigation into the drug trafficking network that was operating in Bunnabonabe Cree Nation. Superintendent Jeff Osmundson, who we mentioned, he is our officer in charge of the Manitoba Integrated Law Enforcement Team, also known as MILET. We'll share the details of some of the details of that investigation here in a moment. I do want to take some time, though, to highlight the work that was performed not only by the officers of the Manitoba Integrated Law Enforcement Team, essential to the outcome, and over the past 6 months, so this investigation has been long-term, the team has been working very hard to identify and dismantle a criminal organization that was fueling the drug trade and intimidating community members. This work was also supported by RCMP colleagues in the detachment at Oxford House, detachment members from Thompson, Selkirk, and as well here in Winnipeg. And I also want to extend my thanks and appreciation to Bunnabonabe Cree Nation Band Council Chief Hart, who could not be with us today, And I also want to personally thank the First Nation safety officers of that community for their work, and they continue to assist and support the RCMP in its efforts to support and provide public safety in the community. As I've said before, the RCMP is committed to protecting the safety of communities that we serve, and this work is made much easier by the teamwork with our colleagues and partners. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll now repeat his comments in French. Nous savons qu'il y a une escalade de la violence dans certaines Premières Nations du Manitoba. Dans la majorité des cas, cette violence est liée au trafic de drogue. Les trafiquants qui importent et distribuent ces drogues illicites ne se soucient pas de la sécurité et du bien-être des membres de la collectivité. Ils ne pensent qu'à faire des profits, peu importe les conséquences. Les chefs de district et de détachement et moi-même avons été informés personnellement par les chefs et les conseils de l'augmentation des activités des gangs et du trafic de drogue qui menacent la sécurité des collectivités. Les dirigeants des collectivités demandent à la GRC de prendre davantage de mesures et de restaurer l'application de la loi. La nation crée Bonabinibi est l'une de ces collectivités car elle a été particulièrement touchée par des incidents criminels et des stratégies d'imitation. En réponse à la situation, nous avons lancé le projet Derry et les résultats ont été remarquables. À ce jour, 27 personnes ont été inculpées dans le cadre d'une enquête de longue haleine sur un réseau de trafic de drogue actif dans la nation créée de Bonabinibi. Le surintendant Jeff Asmundson, officier responsable de l'équipe intégrée d'application de la loi du Manitoba, vous donnera plus de détails dans un instant. Cependant, je tiens à souligner que le travail accompli par les agents de cette équipe a été crucial. Au cours des 6 derniers mois, l'équipe intégrée a travaillé sans relâche pour repérer puis démanteler une organisation criminelle qui alimentait le trafic de drogue et intimidait la collectivité. Elle a été appuyée dans ses efforts par des collègues de la GRC des détachements d'Oxford House, de Thompson et de Selkirk et d'ici à Winnipeg. Je tiens aussi à remercier le conseil de bande de Bonabie, dirigé par le chef Richard Hart. Enfin, je veux également remercier les agents de sécurité des Premières Nations qui travaillent dans la collectivité et continuent d'aider et d'appuyer la GRC, non seulement dans le cadre de cette enquête, mais aussi dans le cadre de leur travail quotidien avec notre détachement au sein de la collectivité. La GRC est déterminée à protéger la sécurité des collectivités qu'elle sert. L'esprit d'équipe de mes excellents collègues et mes partenaires facilite grandement ce travail. Merci. La prochaine personne à venir sur l'estrade, c'est le surintendant Jeff Asmundson de l'équipe intégrée d'application de la loi de la GRC au Manitoba. Next will be speaking is Superintendent Jeff Asmundson of the Manitoba RCMP Integrated Law Enforcement Team. Sir.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Minister, for attending this very important press conference. Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to brief you today on Project Derry. The Manitoba Integrated Law Enforcement Team launched Project Derry after several violent incidents occurred in the community. We are assisted and supported by First Nation safety officers on the Bonabinibi Cree Nation and colleagues at the RCMP detachments in Oxford House, Thompson, Selkirk, and Winnipeg. What we uncovered was a criminal organization that brought drugs and alcohol into the Bonabinibi Cree Nation. individuals working within this organization distributed drugs and alcohol to local traffickers. They handled collection, payments, enforcement, and storage and dissemination of weapons. In total, 51 charges have been laid so far against 27 suspects as part of Project Derry. 9 firearms, approximately 2 kilograms of cocaine packaged for sale, and hundreds of oxycodone and fentanyl pills were seized. A small amount of carfentanil was also seized, as were large quantities of alcohol. Street value of the contraband seized in Oxford House is valued at least $1.2 million. Notably, our investigation found some buyers were given counterfeit oxycodone pills that were in fact fentanyl. This is, as we know, a much more powerful and dangerous and deadly drug. 18 of the 27 suspects are from Bunnabonaby Cree Nation, and the remaining suspects are from Winnipeg and Thompson. The suspected leader of this criminal network was arrested last month. He was charged with criminal organization and drug trafficking related charges or offenses. Most of the charges against the remaining suspects are drug trafficking offenses. Warrants have been issued for 4 of the suspects that we have charged but are not yet in custody. We expect to catch up with these individuals in the near future. To be clear, the fact that we're discussing Project Derry with all of you today does not mean that our investigation is complete. Our team continues to investigate. More arrests and charges will be laid as we continue to dismantle this criminal organization. Above all, this was about partnership with the community. We heard their calls to target drug traffickers and bootleggers, and our officers worked incredibly hard to make that happen. We thank the community leadership, the First Nation safety officers, and all residents for their support. They were essential to the success of Project Derry. Thank you.
I'll now repeat these words for our French audience. J'ai le plaisir de vous donner aujourd'hui de l'information sur Project Derry. L'équipe intégrée d'application de la loi du Manitoba a lancé le Project Derry à la suite de plusieurs incidents violents dans la communauté. Nous avons reçu l'aide et les soutiens d'agents de sécurité des Premières Nations au sein de la Nation Cree Bunnabonaby, ainsi que de nos collègues des détachements de la GRC d'Oxford House, Thompson, Selkirk et Winnipeg. Nous avons découvert une organisation criminelle qui introduisait de la drogue et de l'alcool dans le territoire de la Nation Cree Bunnabonaby. Les individus faisant partie de cette organisation distribuaient de la drogue et de l'alcool à des trafiquants locaux, tout en assurant la collecte et les paiements, l'autorité ainsi que l'entreposage et la distribution d'armes. Au total, 51 chefs d'accusation ont été déposés à ce jour contre 27 suspects dans le cadre du Project Derry. 9 MRFE, environ 2 kg de cocaïne emballés pour la vente et des centaines de comprimés d'oxycodone et de fentanyl ont été saisis. Une petite quantité de carfentanil a également été saisie, ainsi que d'importants volumes d'alcool. Notre enquête a notamment révélé que certains acheteurs avaient reçu des comprimés d'oxycodone contrefaits qui étaient en réalité du fentanyl. Il s'agit, comme nous le savons, d'une drogue beaucoup plus puissante et mortelle. 18 des 27 suspects sont de la Nation Cree Bunnabonaby. Les autres viennent de Winnipeg et de Thompson. Le chef présumé de ces réseaux criminels a été arrêté le mois dernier. Il a été accusé d'infractions d'organisation criminelle et d'infractions liées au trafic de drogue. La plupart des accusations déposées contre les autres suspects sont liées à des infractions de trafic de drogue. Des mandats ont été lancés contre 4 suspects qui ont été accusés, mais ne sont pas encore en détention. Nous espérons retrouver ces individus très bientôt. Je tiens à être clair. Le fait que nous discutons du Project Derry avec vous aujourd'hui ne signifie pas que notre enquête est terminée. Notre équipe continue d'enquêter. D'autres arrestations seront effectuées et des accusations supplémentaires seront déposées à mesure que nous continuons de démanteler cette organisation criminelle. Il s'agit avant tout d'un partenariat avec la communauté. Des membres de la collectivité nous ont appelés à cibler les trafiquants de drogue et d'alcool. Nous avons entendu leur appel et nos agents ont travaillé d'arrache-pied pour agir en ce sens. Nous remercions les dirigeants de la communauté, les agents de sécurité des Premières Nations et tous les résidents de leur soutien. Ils ont joué un rôle crucial dans le succès du projet Derry. Merci. Le dernier à monter se laissera aujourd'hui sur le Matt Weed, ministre de la Justice du Manitoba.
Morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here today with our partners with the RCMP, of course, Assistant Commissioner McMurchie and Superintendent Edmondson. It's always a pleasure to be here and to thank them, but to really thank the guys, the officers, the community who were driving this project and did some incredible work to get the bad guys and to make our community safer. So really I'm here to thank them and to thank the RCMP for their incredible work and commitment to community. There's not many things that make a community feel more helpless or scared than when they're victimized by organized crime. Part of our government's mandate was to address the fact that public safety is a top concern for Manitobans, and to that end, we're committed to being tough on crime and also tough on the causes of crime. We know that there's a long-standing issue of drug trafficking into northern communities, and that with it comes violence, comes overdoses, comes death, and ultimately comes despair for many communities. And we also know that when drugs get trafficked into these communities, they often get into the hands of young people, into the hands of teenagers, and they impact children. And that too often puts them on a bad path and makes the issues grow. That's why we've worked with the RCMP to invest in the policing of our northern and rural communities so that we can get more boots on the ground to give Manitobans safer communities, regardless of where they live in this province. I've said it before that our government won't stand idly by while crime runs rampant in our northern and rural communities, and it disrupts the lives of the people who live there. And we're committed to following that through. There's no one-size-fits-all solution to crime. It requires targeted interventions that can react quickly to crime, to proactive interventions to prevent the causes of crime, and ultimately the appropriate sentencing and rehabilitation to put people on that better path. The Manitoba Integrated Law Enforcement Team is that targeted intervention. Along with First Nations safety officers and RCMP from 4 different communities, we were able to combine the resources available and cut away at the criminal organization that was trafficking these terrible drugs into our communities, fentanyl and cocaine, other narcotics. And with this seizure of over $1.2 million of toxic drugs and alcohol that was intended for the streets of our northern communities, this is going to make a difference. It's had an immediate impact already, I know, on the communities that have been affected. And ultimately, the success of this project is proof that with the right support, with the right collaboration, that we can fight back against the drug traffickers and make a difference for the lives of Manitobans and their communities. So once again, I'm here to thank our RCMP partners. I'm here to thank our First Nations partners, our FNSO program, and everyone who has collaborated in this important work that's making a difference and making our community safer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. I'll now open the floor to questions that you may have for either Superintendent Asmussen or Assistant Commissioner McMurtry. Thank you.
It says the suspected leader, I guess, was running it from within a correctional facility already. Can you give us more detail on that?
Yeah, we'd received information from our partners at Manitoba Corrections, and it is common for drug traffickers to sometimes continue their business while they're incarcerated. In this case, as soon as we found out some information, we initiated an investigation because we wanted to get on top of it so it wouldn't impact that community any further.
How long do you think this drug operation was going on for before RCMP got involved?
That's hard to say. I know we've been working on it for 6 or 7 months for sure, diligently, but it's hard to say how much longer before that it was going on.
What were the violent incidents that precipitated this investigation?
There was some intimidation, there were some arsons, and I don't want to speak too much on that. That part of the investigation is still ongoing.
Now that there's been these arrests and you expect more arrests, would you say the organization is dismantled? Is that your understanding?
Yeah, I believe so. Our investigators did a great job collecting a significant amount of evidence against the accused and his co-conspirators. And this has definitely put a big dent in his operations and his ability to carry out further violence and drug trafficking.
Intimidation tactics, you said arsons, but any other tactics that were involved?
Mischiefs and assaults.
Was there, like within the community, among residents, was there a lot of fear as a result of this criminal group?
Yeah, I think, drug traffickers, they want to continue with their operations in order to make those profits. And they'll do anything to continue their business. And I think the RCMP and our local First Nations safety officers in Bunabandi Cree Nation did a great job working collaboratively to bolster and strengthen that relationship and confidence in the local law enforcement.
The drugs that were in this community that you seized, were those headed for other places as well, or was it mostly just within Bunabandi? Yeah,
the 3 communities, most of them originating out of Winnipeg, in Bunabandi Cree Nation, as well as Thompson.
Has the RCMP, like, is there anything different or unique about this one compared to previous investigations that looked primarily at one northern community? Is anything new, or could this potentially be a model as well going forward? Yeah, I believe so. We have a Milet North team, and their mandate and role is to target mid to high level organized crime that impacts our northern and Indigenous communities. And that's their mandate, and I'm sure there'll be more to come in terms of communities and intelligence that we receive, and we'll be proactively targeting traffickers in other locations throughout Manitoba. And was there, sorry, just to kind of get back to that one, was there anything new or unique to this investigation? This one was, the unique part with this one was the intimidation and the fear it had in the community, and the control that that person had with people in that community. I think that was probably the more unique, and the fact that we got a pretty good amount of fentanyl and carfentanil in a community that size and that isolated, which was concerning. You're looking for somebody by the name of Gordon Hart. Is he related to the chief? I can't comment on that. I'm not sure.
Are any of these people listed here like related to each other?
Yeah, Oxford House is a small community. It's not that big in terms of size, and I'm sure many of them are related in some shape or form.
Are the folks with the same last name as the individual you believe is a suspected leader? Are those folks all related?
They're related, or yeah, probably. in some shape or form, maybe distant.
What kind of work happens now? So you think you've dismantled this network in that community. So what kind of work happens now to make sure that either members of this group or a different group or just individuals don't come in and take their place?
The key part with that is the relationship that we formed with the Bunabanabe Cree Nation First Nation safety officers and the community leadership. So we'll be continuing to talk and communicate and share intelligence, and we encourage local people to phone their local RCMP if they see illegal acts such as drug trafficking and or violence associated to it.
What kind of firearms? I'm just seeing some of the images here. Can you talk a little bit about some of the guns that were seized and have they been traced?
That part of the investigation's ongoing, but I would probably defer that to Sergeant Brock Carson, the lead investigator on the file for after off camera.
Was the suspected leader the only one who was arrested while in custody already? Was everybody else arrested in the community?
I believe there are a few others. I can't comment on the exact number, but yeah, there were a few others that were related, that were arrested in custody.
Have you had feedback from any residents as a result of this and how
Yeah.
they're feeling now?
Yeah, the overall feedback from the community, just in talking with the community leadership and our First Nations safety officer partners, is people do feel safer. They've seen a drop in the occurrences in terms of crime and related violence. So we're happy to say that this has given this community some reprieve.
And the person who was allegedly kind of the head of this, what are his connections to the community? Is he a member or?
Yeah, he's a member of Bunabanabe Cree Nation, and he's originally from there and related to many people there.
Do you know why he was already in custody? Like what had got him there in the first place?
I can't comment on that exact fact. I apologize, but
There's a 15-year-old who has been charged. How kind of concerning is that to see?
well, that's concerning. Organized crime tends to use often youth to commit their acts and or facilitate their violence on people. And in this case, that's what it was. And it is concerning. They're taking advantage of people that don't necessarily have the means and or the knowledge due to their age. And we want to stop that and try to divert those people on a better path.
For the minister?
Is it on the
It's on
the
this.
previous charges? No, more broadly.
No,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
it's on.
So I'll have to get that for you.
Oh, no,
afterwards,
that's
but
okay.
yeah.
It's just in with respect to some of the things that you had
Yeah, for
mentioned.
sure.
You were mentioning more boots on the ground in northern communities. Can you elaborate on that? What has the government done to get more boots on the ground, or how many more boots on the ground?
Well, again, all credit goes to the incredible partnership that we have, with the RCMP. We've been advocating to the federal government to acknowledge and begin to address in real ways the ongoing recruitment challenges and retention challenges that we've seen in Manitoba. We have a high vacancy rate. I think it's the highest in Canada here in the province of Manitoba. And so we've been able to deliver that message loud and clear to the federal government. We've started to see some changes, and we've started to see some increased numbers here in the province, starting to see more recruits being posted in Manitoba. And again, in that partnership with the RCMP, we're able to better understand where the need is, which communities have high vacancy rates, but also have high crime rates and need the resources to be deployed. And so we're starting to see the numbers increase, and we'll have more to say about that at a future date.
The throne speech it mentioned, I think it was you'll know this better than I will, but a drug scanner for northern Manitoba, is that
that's
correct? And do you have more details on that and where it'll be located?
Again, we'll try not to scoop ourselves on a future announcement, but my understanding is that that technology is being used right now, and it's again an example. What we want to highlight here today is that this is in partnership with community. This is, First Nations, rural northern communities who are stepping up to find solutions that work for them. And in this case, it was an organized crime network that we were able to disrupt because of the boots on the ground as well as the larger investigations. In other communities, as you said, drug scanner, keeping the drugs out of the community in the first place. In other places like Thompson, it's specialized units. So we're committed to, again, not a one-size-fits-all solution, but a commitment to work with law enforcement and with community to understand what the dynamics are and then address them and support them from the provincial government and from the Department of Justice.
Maybe I might just have one more for Mr. Rasmussen. Just, can you explain, people down south might not understand, but how are the drugs being brought into this northern remote community?
Drug traffickers, not just in this case, but in many cases, they're very creative. They'll utilize couriers, they'll utilize vehicles, they'll utilize air, they'll utilize rail. But it's whatever avenue they can transport them up, and they'll utilize courier services and or the mail.
Are you able to say, like, do RCMP know if there was any overdoses in the community or harm that came from people getting these drugs? Or
I can't comment on that in terms of the specifics of the local detachment and calls for service. We just know that we wanted to address it before more tragedy happened in that community, and they already grapple with some drugs and substance use issues.
just for clarification, I know I'd asked this earlier, but were all the folks who have been charged, like, are they all known to each other, is your understanding, or?
Yeah, they're co-conspirators. Many of them have some closer relationships, but criminal networks, they'll span out over different groups to get their business done, and they might not know all each other personally, but they definitely have criminal associations and will utilize each other when needed.
Do you know if any of the drugs left to Manitoba at all, like?
No, I don't believe so, so in this case, but you never know.
The counterfeit pills that you mentioned, is that becoming more common where it's claimed to be one drug, but it's actually got something like fentanyl?
Yeah, drug traffickers, they will mix. There's no quality control in drug trafficking, and you don't know what you're gonna get. It could be sold as a certain item, could be sold as ecstasy, could be sold as oxycodone, but it could have fentanyl or carfentanil in it, and those are fatal.
Okay, thanks everyone. If you have any questions for our investigator, like I say, it'll be off camera and you can just stick around and he'll hopefully answer any more questions you might have. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, great job.